The following is a production of the Pulse Podcast Network.
In this edition of the Playback, it's Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. The New Jersey Devils look to repeat as Cup champs as they took on the Colorado Avalanche on June 9, 2001 from the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado.
Your coaches for the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, Larry Robinson for the reigning, defending, at the time, undisputed champ New Jersey Devils, Bob Hartley for the Colorado Avalanche, and 2-0, by the way, Robinson in Game 7s, whereas Hartley is 1-2 as a coach in Game 7 leading up to this game right here between the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. And the Avalanche had only been in the NHL. This is what, their fifth season, right? At this time. So the 95 or sixth season, the 95-96 season being their first. They won the Stanley Cup after relocating from Quebec. So that's the moral of the story. If you relocate from Quebec, you win the Stanley Cup your first year in existence. And this was in 2001. Home team has won 8 of 10 Game 7s in finals history. That was a Stanley Cup Finals fact right there. And they're about ready to start the game. And it's, again, the Pepsi Center had opened up. I want to say they opened up like the year before. They met, or 1999 maybe, between 99 or 2000. I know it's the Ball Arena now. At the time, it was the Pepsi Center, and it was one of the newest happening places because the McNichols Sports Arena in Denver was kind of run down, and the Nuggets and the Avalanche sharing that facility just exacerbated the wear and tear of the arena, which was already old enough. And now you have the Pepsi Center for both, now the Ball Arena, the Colorado Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets. This is the Playback. I am Jay Dawg, and this was ABC's coverage back when it was Gary Thorne and Bill Clement, who I grew up on, the passion and the love for the sport of hockey on that 4-letter network was because of Gary Thorne and Bill Clement bringing the passion, the excitement, the love of the game. And it was a great loss when the coverage was gone after that 2003-2004 NHL season. Well, you had the lockout anyway. And, it just wasn't the same. When the NHL came back to the 4-letter network in the 2020s, it just wasn't the same. Because you didn't have Gary Thorne or Bill Clement. That's not a knock on either Sean McDonough or Ray Chicken Parm Ferraro. It's such a high level between Gary Thorne and Bill Clement doing the NHL for so long. You've got 2 Hall of Fame goalies in Marty Brodeur and Pat Waugh, and you have Marty Brodeur, who idolized Waugh growing up as a kid in Montreal, as one does, because in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, there's Sergei Nemchinov of the New Jersey Devils. Very underrated player. He was a scrapper. Chris Drury of the Colorado Avalanche. There's Scott Niedermayer of the New Jersey Devils. Just under 18 minutes to go in the first period. And back to Waugh and Brodeur. Brodeur growing up in Montreal as a kid, idolizing Waugh, who was a stud standout for the Montreal Canadiens in the 80s and the 90s. And then coming to Colorado and becoming a legend, a living legend. I know Brodeur now has the all-time wins for goaltenders. Marty Brodeur, okay, his 2001 finals record going in, 3-3, 2.68 GAA, 2001 playoffs record 15-9, 2.03 GAA. And remember, the Devils have a 3-2 lead going in and lost it, and this is why you have a Game 7. I was 18 when this game was played. I was about to graduate from Concord High School. This was June 9th, 2001. As the narrator had said going into the intro of the playback here on the Pulse Podcast Network. And again, this was my heyday of watching the NHL and loving the NHL. I still love the NHL today. I'm an adult now. This is when I was a teenager, becoming an adult. Special thanks to Jeff Ponder on his YouTube channel for this trip down memory lane. And again, I remember like it was yesterday. There's Scott Stevens, Colorado Avalanche with Pat Waugh, 2001 finals record, 3-3 with a 1.68 GAA, better than Broads. His 2001 playoffs record, 15-7 with a 1.73 GAA, again, better than Broads. Two Les Français goaltenders in the absolute prime of their careers, by the way. Why is a guy wearing a Lakers jersey? There's Michelle Waugh, Pat's wife. Why is a guy wearing a Lakers jersey in Denver? Is he of sound mind? Looking at the old logos, the old Pepsi logo, Taco Bell, Nextel. Nextel doesn't exist anymore. MasterCard, Southwest Airlines, Dodge. Was that Dodge Durango? No, Dodge. Different. Yeah. The NHL on ABC logo. EAS, Conoco. Milan Hajduk, I remember him. We got a penalty, don't we? I think we do. Yeah. On New Jersey. Colorado goes on the power play. Yep. That's definitely a penalty. Sergei Brylin boarding 2 minutes at 3 minutes, 20 seconds in the first period. Third period, no. You got to get to the third period before, you got to get through the first period to get through the third period there, dog. Sold out crowd. Colorado 5 for 31 on the power plays. Devils 2 for 24. Is that perhaps why it's a Game 7? Because New Jersey just can't convert on the power play? So you have the former Colorado team taking on the current Colorado team in the New Jersey Devils, who at one time were the Colorado Rockies, and before that, the Kansas City Scouts, taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Key Bank, I see Denver Mattress, I see Founders, John Elway Automotive. There's Joe Sakic, the captain. In his absolute prime as well. Joey Sakic, Joey Hockey. And the Colorado Avalanche with the big foot on the sides of the jerseys. On the sides of, yeah, love that. Now they just have the state of Colorado or the letter C, right? Or like the flag of Colorado, yeah. Ain't the same. Ray Bourque, who wanted to go to Philadelphia, but Harry Sinden, the Boston Bruins general manager of the time back in 2000, said, you're not going to a rival. You're going as far west as possible. And sure enough, Colorado is as west as possible for Harry Sinden and the Boston Bruins to facilitate a trade. Minute to go on the power play for Colorado. Dev's going to try to kill it. Devs, Avs, Game 7, 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, finals, not final. They weren't final until 2006, which we're going to have for you, by the way. We're going to have Game 6 of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final later this month on the Playback, and that was between the Carolina Hurricanes, who are in this year's Stanley Cup Final, taking on the Edmonton Oilers, who were on last year and the year before that's Stanley Cup Final. That's when hockey was back, by the way, 2006, the 2005-2006 season. Chris Drury, 2 goals, 2 assists in the series against New Jersey. I think he's from Connecticut originally and was a standout in the Little League World Series back in the day. I'm pretty sure. Connecticut Chris, yeah. "30 seconds on the power play, 15:10 to go in the first period. Scoreless in Denver. I see Office Depot. "10 seconds on the power play. Looks like the Avs are not going to convert, and the Devs will kill it. Yep, full strength. On the ice, you have Coors Light, Waste Management, and the 2 Stanley Cup Finals logos. So Waste Management on one side, Stanley Cup Finals on the other, and then Stanley Cup Finals on one side and Coors Light on the other. Went in Denver, right? Coors? Yeah. My uncle wanted to go to Denver, and he did in the 80s. And I think he toured the Coors Brewing factory and became a big Coors guy. So the Denver Mattress Company, that's what that is, yeah. Oh, that was close. That was almost a goal for New Jersey. That was almost a goal for New Jersey. When was Game 1 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals? I want to say it was the night of my prom. Or game, hold on. Game 1 was May 26th. Game 2 was May 29th. Game 3 was May 31st. Game 4 was a Saturday night, so that was June 2nd was my prom, so which was a Saturday in June in 2001. Yes, so those were the days where the Stanley Cup Final started in late May. Now it starts in early June and pretty much goes to mid to late June. And I've always said, hockey in June, especially late June, is immoral. No. I think football in February is immoral. No. Baseball in late November, which hasn't happened yet, but very well could. No. NBA basketball in mid-June. No. You see, there's Scott Gomez for the New Jersey Devils. 12 minutes to go in the first period, scoreless, between the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. Nope, that was almost 12 minutes. 12:02, excuse me. Alex Tanguay, yep. Score! As a St. Louis Blues guy who my Blues lost to the Avalanche in the, I want to say it was like the conference finals, was it not? So 12:02, Ray Bourque, I think, got the assist. The Bourque family is there. So 12:02 to go in the first period. Colorado leading 1-0. Alex Tanguay, 5th goal of the playoffs, 3rd of the series. He scored at 7:58 first period. I think Bourque got the assist. Yep. St. Louis Blues. That's the Avs defeated the Blues 4-1 to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it was the first time the St. Louis Blues, and I know this is a St. Louis Blues guy, I'm not even reading it. The first time since 1986 that the St. Louis Blues were in the conference finals. There were times where the Blues, this is up until 2019, weren't really in the conference finals that many times. They went like every 15 years. 86, 2001, 2016, and then again in 2019. But 'tis the season for hockey, especially Stanley Cup Final or Finals. NBA Finals as well. It's a nice save by Waugh. Spelled Roy, pronounced Waugh. The first goals versus the Devils, ready? For the Avalanche, right? Game 3 on the 3rd shot. Game 4 on the 1st shot. Game 5 on the 4th shot. Game 6 on the 4th shot, and then Game 7 on the 5th shot. Adam Foote. $10:58 to go in the first period. And this was back when you wore white at home in the NHL. So in the playoffs, when scoring first, the Avalanche are 11-2. They're 2-2 in the series. And the Devils are 10-2 in the playoffs, but 1-1 in the series thus far. But the Devils didn't score first, so they'll either go 2-1 or 1-2. They didn't start wearing the road uniform as the home uniform until the 2003-2004 season in the NHL. That I do remember. There's been a movement to switch it back, to have white at home. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. I don't anticipate it right now. To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Especially in this day and age where, especially in the NBA, like you saw Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals between the San Antonio Spurs and the OKC Thunder, right? Oklahoma City was wearing their home uniform, which is the blue, and San Antonio were wearing their home uniform, the black uniform. So, like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. New Jersey went into this game the defending Stanley Cup champs. They had defeated the Dallas Stars, who were the defending Stanley Cup champs the year before that, controversially, of course, against the Buffalo Sabres. 6 shots on goal for Colorado, 5 for New Jersey thus far. You got to give the Avs credit getting to this point thus far. They had made some moves to keep up with the Dallas Stars and the Detroit Red Wings, who were in the Western Conference at this time. Getting a Rob Blake from the LA Kings, getting a Ray Bourque from the Boston Bruins. They're making trades. They had the draft capital to do it. Is that going to be a penalty against the Avs or rather against the Devils? It might be. $8:24 to go in the first period. It's the Avs 1, the Devs nothing. A raucous crowd in the Mile High City. Doesn't look like there's an empty seat in the house, and they're all waving a white towel, so, or at least a lot of them are. They understood the assignment. Whereas the Cleveland Cavaliers, they still wore the damn shirt and got swept by the Knicks in the 2026 Eastern Conference Finals. Powerade was a big sponsor of the NHL back then. So the Devils are seeking to become the first team since 1945 to win the Cup after being shut out twice in the finals. Last road team to win Game 7 of the finals, the 1971 Montreal Canadiens. And Ray Bourque, at least 1 goal in 6 of his 8 career Game 7s, a goal and 7 assists. So he's still, I don't want to say he's past his prime, but he's still getting it done. The Boston Bruins were just never going to, the way I see it is this. Honestly, I think the Bruins should have traded Ray Bourque during their really bad times. I'm talking when they had drafted Joe Thornton, when they had drafted Sergei Samsonov, when they were starting all over again. And you see a couple of people in wearing Boston Bruins jerseys at the Avs game in support of Bourque and Fidel Francis. Waugh, Broads. There's Pat Eliash, who could not get it through Waugh in the net. A lot of Hall of Famers in this game. I think Bourque would have won a ring. I think so you have Nortel Networks right there. I remember Nortel Networks. I think he might have been the missing piece in 1997. If they had traded him in the 96-97 season, because Boston had the NHL All-Star game in the 95-96. If they had traded him after that 95-96 season, you'd get him to Philadelphia, like what he wanted in 2000 during the trade deadline. I think if you trade him to Philadelphia, it makes it awfully hard for the Detroit Red Wings to win the 1997 Stanley Cup. Because you have Bourque as an awesome defenseman, right? You have John LeClair, and you have Eric Lindros. You have those guys. You probably have Rod Brindamore too, right? That's awfully hard for Detroit. So Waugh, in 3 wins versus New Jersey, has a .33 his jersey number essentially, GAA with a 986 save percentage. 3 losses against New Jersey, a 3.03 GAA with a .889 save percentage. So he's getting it done right now. 7:30 to go in the first period. It is Colorado leading New Jersey 1-0. Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. This is Jay Dawg on the Playback. Playbackers unite. We got hockey in all month of June. We've got the NBA Finals in the month of June. We've got a milestone achievement in baseball in the month of June as well that I'm not going to talk about. Also, Jay Dawg's boxing bout of the month and Jay Dawg's wrestling match of the month. And we're going to have a special edition of the Playback, which will not count as a special edition, but will actually be part of the numbers of editions we've had of the Playback. We will have a special edition of the Playback in July, on July 2nd. But that'll be a special edition in July, not June. So I take that back saying special edition. And to me, a lot of these players were household names, especially in circles like New Jersey and Colorado. But Waugh certainly a household name. Broad certainly a household name. Hockey circles, legendary, of course. There's IBM as a sponsor on the boards. Taco Bell, before they gave up and decided to sponsor Sunday Night Baseball on the 4-letter network for many years. As John Miller used to say, I'm John Miller alongside Joe Morgan, your Sunday night telecasters. I used to love that when he did that. Because technically he's not wrong. Because Sunday Night Baseball on the 4-letter network was on only television, right? No streaming like it is now. Not complaining, by the way. Not complaining. I love that NBC has baseball again. And Sunday Night Baseball is not just on NBC, but I think it's on NBC Sports Network and it's on Peacock streaming. 5:10 to go in the first period. Colorado leading New Jersey 1-0. A shorthanded goal, not a power play goal. Al Michaels, by the way, was the host of the NHL and ABC coverage at this time. The Dodge different intermission. Of course, ABC is using the same graphics as the 4-letter network. Because Disney owns, it still does at the time, owned and still owns ABC and the 4-letter network. .444 to go in the first period. New Jersey Devils have been around since 1982, by the way. That was close. That was almost a goal. Broads almost let that one in. So yes, this is under the 4-letter network banner, essentially. Because I believe they switched between here and the mothership. ABC one night, the mothership the next. An advertisement for the FedEx St. Jude Classic in golf. So this must have been a Saturday. Yes, it was a Saturday. So yeah, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so this was a week away from me graduating from Concord High School. Now kids, when they graduate from high school, The NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final are still going on, for the most part. ABC has got to be loving that they've got both the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final this year, between the Knicks and the Spurs, and the Scott Gomez going to the sin bin. I think he is. Yep, holding 2 minutes at 16:06 of the first period. He ain't happy about it. And the Stanley Cup Final between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. Carlos Gomez, Scott's father's in the crowd. He's not happy about the call either. Bowl, insert swear here. With 3:54 to go in the first period, Colorado goes on the power play. 2 minutes. I wonder how much a ticket was back then. Tickets were, face value, ready? $100 to $400. That won't even get you in the door now. You need a credit reference just to park. So whether you're in Vegas, whether you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, you ain't getting in for $100 or $400, okay? Ain't happening. Scott Gomez, the pride of Anchorage, Alaska, by the way. Brought the Stanley Cup in 2000 to his home of Anchorage. ABC's advertisement with One Life to Live as one of the... That's right, Scott Gomez was on One Life to Live. He had a guest spot on One Life to Live. That's right. So he got to enjoy the fruits of his labor winning the Stanley Cup in 2000. I think it was a rookie in the 99-2000, if I'm not mistaken. He played a pilot, I believe, in One Life to Live. .40 seconds on the power play with about 2:30 to go in the first period. Colorado trying to get a goal here to make it 2-0. They're up 1-0 with 30 seconds to go on the power play. .216 to go in the first period. They lead 1-0 over New Jersey. So you had two, by the way, you had two teams with their state names, not city names, going up against each other. I don't know if that's the first. No, Colorado, Florida in 1996 happened as well. Penalty is killed, full strength. Only had one shot on the power play, the Avs did that time. Not a lot of parity in the NHL back then. You had the haves and the have-nots, or should I say the Avs and the Av-nots. It's a lame joke, I know. I know. Devils, scoring chances, 6. Avs, 5. Icing, minute 18 to go in the first period. Oh! Almost. It hit the post. It hit the post. New Jersey almost tied it up. Oh, that was close. The Devils wearing Coho for their jersey supplier, and the Avs wearing CCM. Are they both Canadian? I know CCM is. Coho might be Swedish or like Norwegian. Or Scandinavian, excuse me. No, they're Canadian too. They're based in Toronto. 1 minute to go. My apologies. Coho's not Canadian. Coho Bank is Canadian. Coho is Finnish. Okay. So it is Scandinavian. So Coho Bank is Canadian. Coho, the sports apparel company, is Finnish. Got it. 10 seconds to go in the first period. So I stood corrected. Savor the flavor because it's not going to last. After one, it is Colorado 1, New Jersey 0, Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals here on the Playback. And the Avs have got to be feeling good about that period there. 1-0 after one.
You're listening to The Playback on the Pulse Podcast Network.
Some good Game 7 Finals trivia history right here. Team leading after first period has won 4 of 7 games. 3 games were tied after the first period. Of course, this is not the case here, as the Avs lead 1-0 against the New Jersey Devils in Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. And I love the goalie masks that both Broads and Waugh wore. They're very iconic. And now it's left to right if you're going on a radio dial, right? I love that when you have hockey play-by-play announcers, left to right on your radio dial. So Waugh now is left, whereas Brodeur is right, whereas in the first period it was the other side. It was Broads on the left and Waugh on the right. So that means in the third period they'll switch back in left to right for New Jersey, Colorado. But right now it's Colorado left, New Jersey right. Second period. Rob Blake has spent a lot of time on the ice, so he's been a grinder. Doesn't have to score points like he did with the Los Angeles Kings, but that's not his goal. His goal is not to score goals and get assists. It's part of that if you can really, contribute. It's more about being a grinder on the ice to make sure that Joe Sakic and Ray Bourque and all the other guys can contribute. Then again, if Rob Blake can score goals and get assists, that just adds more incentive to it. But when he was traded, he was there to essentially be a grinder on the ice, to stop guys like Rob Niedermeyer, to stop guys like Scott Stevens, to stop guys like Scott Gomez, Pat Eliash. It's working so far. My prom date was myself. Funny story about that. There's Brian Ingblom as the sideline reporter for the Stanley Cup Finals. I walked on the highway, not like in traffic, but on the side, which you're not supposed to do. So my ride was not a limo. My ride was not like a parent or a loved one driving me. It was a state trooper warning me, don't ever do that again. I got that warning in June of 2001, and I've heeded it ever since. I think they put a sign up there because of me, not to do that, because there was no sign that said otherwise. Because you can't have mopeds or bicycles or pedestrians, but there wasn't a sign that said that. See, I didn't know that. And I couldn't take shortcuts to where I wanted to go, because I wasn't thinking fourth dimension. The Beast making its ABC premiere. Which I think it was a movie. No, series premiere, that's right. Frank Langella was in that. Liz Mitchell was in that show, yes. Didn't last long. I think it would have been better on cable because it was already due to intense nature. Parental discretion is advised. I think it would have been better on like TNT. I do remember that show, and it not lasting long. It was for summer reruns in the hopes that it would get picked up. There's Darren Panger. I loved him when he was with the St. Louis Blues television. Now he's with the Chicago Blackhawks now, but I loved him at the time with the Blues for many years. He developed a lot of relationships. He made the Blues TV network just so much more bearable. Not to say that it wasn't unbearable, but I'm just saying it just, everything was working. And now the Blues are in a new direction with television. They're longtime play-by-play broadcasters with the Kings now. You don't know what you got till it's gone, you know? Which I could say the same thing with ABC, or I should say with Gary Thornton and Bill Clement. Thought we were going to have them forever until we didn't. I mean, they're still with us at press time. I'm just saying in terms of them not doing this on ABC or the four-letter network. Because Gary Thorne was still with the mothership for a long time doing baseball and doing college hockey, especially during the Frozen Four and the national championship game. Just not NHL. Because pucks were barren. Pro pucks were barren from 2005 on to about 2021. Or 2021. So because I think the 2021-2022 season is when they came back. Game 7. 2001 Stanley Cup Finals, a Saturday night. I remember watching it in my brother's room, my brother Nate and I watching it. Because there's no Game 8, you know that. There is no tomorrow. Nothing tops a Game 7 if you think about it. They always said the two best words in sports is Game 7. You certainly don't get that in the Super Bowl. It's elimination, one and done. You get that in baseball, you get that in basketball, and you get it in hockey. There's nothing quite like it. No, there's nothing like it. Game 8, Game 9, Game 10, no. Shots on goal thus far, Devils 11, Avs 10, 15:40 to go in the second period. Colorado leading New Jersey 1-0. You have Melanie Brodeur, Bros' wife, and Michelle Waugh, Pat's wife. I think next to Waugh's wife is a kid, preferably a son, with a Stanley Cup, a miniature Stanley Cup, not miniature, certainly not a big one, but one that you can kind of carry around a little bit. Broads from 1999-2000, 95 games played. That's regular season and playoffs. 2000, 2001, 97 games played, NHL single season record. He was a workhorse, there's no question. Do you remember Broad's last team he played for? That's right, the St. Louis Blues. He played for my Blues, I remember. Wasn't any good. He was past his prime by then, but he almost had 700 career victories in the regular season. He surpassed Terry Sawchuk, for sure. That was the barometer. Sawchuk had like 440 or something like that. The Devils, by the way, their path to the playoffs So you had league leaders, finals, game sevens played. Ted Lindsay, 4. Marcel Provost, excuse me, 4. Red Kelly, 4. And Jean Beliveau, 4. So, as I said, Colorado, they swept Vancouver in the first round, beat L.A. in the second round, 4-3, and defeated my St. Louis Blues in 5 to get to the finals. New Jersey, they defeated Carolina 4-2, the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3, and one of their most hated rivals, you guessed it, that would be Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr and the Pittsburgh Penguins, 4-1 to advance to the finals. Now, that was the last, Game 5 was the last game for Jaromir Jagr, who was traded to the Washington Capitals. So, Hall of Famers, right? You have Rob Blake, Ray Bourque, Pete Forsberg. Forsberg did not play, by the way. He did not play in this. I think he had a spleen injury. Pat Waugh and Joe Sakic. For the Devils, Marty Brodeur, Alex Mogilny, Scott Niedermayer, and Scott Stevens. You also have Larry Robinson, who was inducted as a player in 1995, and Brian Trottier. Who was a coach, by the way. He was inducted as a player. Bill McCreary, one of the officials, was inducted as well back in 2014. Trottier, I want to say, was a coach. Was he a coach for the... I want to say he was a bench coach for the New Jersey Devils. Because he became a coach in the 2002-2003 season for the New York Rangers, 54 games. He went 21, 26, and 6, and one overtime loss. He was fired, of course. He did not last too long. No, he was a coach. He was on the coaching staff of the Colorado Avalanche. Okay, gotcha. All right. So my mistake. I thought he was New Jersey Devils. No, Trottier was a coach on this Colorado Avalanche team. Okay. Sergei Nemchinov in Game 7 career, pretty good, actually. A couple of goals and assist here. 15-10 to go in the second period. Score! There you go. Was that Adam Foote? Or was that Milan Hajduk? They're just waving those white towels, man. Oh, it's a scene. It's like a whiteout. Deb Sakic, Joe's wife, in the crowd. Let's see who scored it. Was it Foote? Let's see. I think Sakic got the assist. All right, let's see Alex Tanguay, second goal tonight, or this game. 4:57, fourth goal of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Okay. So Alex Tanguay has scored the first two goals of this game of this Game 7 for the Stanley Cup Finals. Sakic and Adam Foote got the assist. Dan Highnote, by the way, got an assist in the first period. So Tanguay, fifth and sixth goal. Highnote, his fourth assist. Sakic, 13th assist, and Adam Foote's fourth assist. 2-0 Colorado. .31 to go in the second period. Jason Arnott on this team as well. I remember Jason Arnott, yep, for the New Jersey Devils. Alex Tanguay, ready? His boyhood idol is one of his teammates, Joe Sakic. How about that, huh? Lived in Patois' basement during his rookie season. That's got to be something. You're not only, you meet your idol, you get to play alongside your idol, and you're contributing to a potential Stanley Cup championship with your idol. Not too shabby. And oh, by the way, you get to live in the basement of a living legend in Patois during your rookie season. Yeah, we're getting a power play. New Jersey, once again, going to the sin bin. So they're not towels, they're more pom-poms than towels. They look like towels from this distance, but they're actually pom-poms. So white pom-poms for the Colorado Avalanche. Okay. Colorado goes on the power play. 14:09 to go in the second period. 2 minutes. Sean O'Donnell, high sticking. Score! No, my mistake. Thought that was a goal. It's a goal now. Score! Joe Sakic, power play goal. 3-0 Colorado. 13:44 to go in the second period. Scott Stevens can't believe it. This Colorado crowd is hot. Wow. Sakic just right through Broads, right through him. There you go. Melanie Brodeur, Mrs. B, can't believe it. Frustration. $13:30 to go in the second period. Milan Hajduk and Alex Tanguay on the assist. 16 and 15 for those two guys. 12:50 to go in the second period. Colorado leading New Jersey 3-0. Game 7, 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. We'll have more Stanley Cup Final games for you later on this month for the playback. We're going to have the 2016 Stanley Cup Final between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the San Jose Sharks. We're going to have the 2006 Stanley Cup Final between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Edmonton Oilers at the Carolina Hurricanes. It goes road team first, home team second. So we'll have the 2011 Stanley Cup Final, Game 7 between the Boston Bruins and the Vancouver Canucks. So we're going to have, as I said, Game 6 of the 2016 Stanley Cup Final between the Pittsburgh Penguins at the San Jose Sharks. For the NBA Finals, we already have, it's available, of course, here on the Pulse Podcast Network on the Playback. We already have Game 6 of the 1986 NBA Finals. Between the Boston Celtics, well, the Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics. At Sports Center tonight. Yeah. I'm waiting for a sign that says Sports Center is next. The production line, Tangay, Sakic, Hayduk. 3 goals, 3 assists. That's how dominant the Avalanche have been in this game so far. Remember those Nike helmets. I remember the Nike sticks and the Nike gloves and the Nike skates. I remember it well. 11:11 to go in the second period. Colorado leading New Jersey 3-0. You have to remember in the 2000-2001 season in the NHL, you had no team in Vegas. Yeah, it looks like we got a penalty on Colorado. No team in Seattle. Eric Messier's high-sticking 9:22 in the second period. On John Madden. No, not that John Madden. New Jersey, power play now for them. 10:38 to go in the second period. This is our first Game 7 on the playback, by the way, That's a goal for New Jersey. They're back on it. It's a game. It's a game now. Peter Sikora, power play goal, 10th on the playoffs. Pat Eliash and Jay Arnott on the assists, 14 for Eliash and 15 for Arnott. So the penalty does kill them in that regard for the Avs. 3-1 now. Colorado leading New Jersey. But this is our first Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals on the Playback. Because this is only the third hockey game we've had here on the Playback. We had the Miracle on Ice in 1980. We had Game 6 of the 1991 Stanley Cup Finals. .10 to go in the second period. Never been to Colorado before. Been to New Jersey. Not bragging. It's a game now. 3-1. Game 7. Avalanche 3, Devils 1, 9:42 to go in the second period. 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, not in their sport coats, by the way. They did when they started the broadcast. Then they were in the booth. They have their dress shirts. Oh, what a save by Waugh. Nice save. Nice save. For the Colorado Avalanche, 9:30 to go in the second period. Their roster, Dave Abisher, who did not play in the series, Rob Blake, Ray Bourque, Greg DeVry, Chris Dingman, Chris Drury, Adam Foote, Peter Forsberg, Milan Hajduk, Dan Hinote, Hinote, of course, I remember him playing for the St. Louis Blues, for my Blues. He was also a coach for Columbus at one time. He was born in Florida, by the way, but he was raised in Rogers, Minnesota. .834 to go in the second period. Joe Clem, Eric Messier, not to be related. I don't think he's related to Mark Messier. He's from Drummondville, Quebec, by the way. Brian Muir, who did not play, by the way. Ville Nieminen, Scott Parker, did not play, by the way. Scott Parker did not play. Sean Podin, Nolan Pratt, who did not play. Dave Reed, Steven Reinprecht, Pat Waugh, Joe Sakic, Marty Skula, Alex Tangay, and Stefan Yell. 9 shots for the Devils this period, 3 for the Avs. 7:57 to go in the second period. As for the New Jersey Devils, Jason Arnott, Marty Brodeur, Sergei Brylin from the Soviet Union, Moscow, Bob Corkum, Salisbury, Mass's own, Kenny Danico, Pat Eliash, Scott Gomez, Bobby Holik. I remember when he played for the Atlanta Thrashers. I remember him, the Thrashies. John Madden. No, not that John Madden. Randy McKay. Jim McKenzie did not play, but he was on the roster. Alex Mogilny, also from the Soviet Union. Sergei Nemchinov from Moscow. Scotty Niedermeyer. Sean O'Donnell. Nemchinov did not play on that 2000 team that won it all, by the way. Arnott going to the sin bin? I think he might be. No, 4-on-4. Okay, gotcha. Okay, it's 4-on-4. Yeah. Arnott tripping 2 minutes. Eric Messier holding 2 minutes. Penalties at 12:23 in the second period. 7:35 to go. It's 4-on-4 for the Avs and the Devils. Matching penalties, as they say. Jay Pandolfo, Mass's own, by the way. I said Sean O'Donnell. Brian Rafalski, Dearborn, Michigan's own. Scott Stevens, Turner Stevenson, Ken Sutton, did not play, by the way. Peter Sikora, John Van Biesbroek did not play, by the way. And Colin White. That's your rosters for the 2001 Colorado Avalanche and New Jersey Devils in this 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. $7:15 to go. Colorado 3, New Jersey 1. Game 7, 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. I remember watching this. It was the Downing Street era, folks. 44 Downing Street is where I watched this game in my brother Nate's room. He was a Philadelphia Flyers fan, so I think he still is, resented Ray Bourque. Ray Bourque didn't essentially stiff the Flyers. Harry Sinden, the general manager of the Boston Bruins at the time, said, no, we're not sending you to the East Coast. We're sending you to the West Coast. Have lots of luck trying to win a championship on the West Coast. Not New Jersey and not Philadelphia, because that was the original idea. The Philadelphia Flyers were to get Ray Bourque. For not much, by the way, because Sinden was trying to, in effect, start all over again. I mean, the Bruins were quasi-competitive in the 2000-2001 season, not compared to the Colorado Avalanche, of course. And the Avs almost got to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2000 to meet these Devils, as it was the Dallas Stars, who were the defending champs. They went the distance against the Colorado Avalanche. If you remember, there was a famous shot of Bourque almost scoring a goal and it hitting the post against Ed Belfour and the Dallas Stars in Game 7, I believe. 6:20 to go, 4-on-4 still going on for the Avs and the Devs. I might be the only one that calls them the Devs. Or maybe I'm not. It might be the only person you might know of that calls them the Devs. 6:03 to go in the second period. Still 4-on-4. Icing. Al Michaels previewing the next intermission The Dodge, different intermission. So I guess they sponsored the intermission. Okay. So at this time, Al Michaels was doing Monday Night Football, right? The 2000 season. The NBA was on NBC at this time. You had certain events of the PGA, right? You had the NHL. And baseball wasn't on ABC, but it was on the four-letter network. So Al Michaels essentially just had Monday Night Football and NHL from time to time. Only on ABC he would, not on the mothership. The career perspective of Ray Bourque as you're seeing him with the Boston Bruins against the Hartford Whalers and the Buffalo Sabres. When he wore the number 7, and then, of course, number 77, because they retired the number 7 in Boston. Scored a clutch goal. Yeah. Ray Bourque, only 40-year-old in NHL history to score a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals. He scored the game-winning goal in Game 3, by the way, in New Jersey. No, Denver, excuse me. No, New Jersey. That's right, because the home ice advantage is Colorado. That's right. Yeah. Guy wearing a half Avalanche, half Bruins jersey. Clever. ABC, absolutely Bourque's Cup. I like that. Nice save by Wah. Wah. It's the sound Axl Rose makes, right? Wah. Yep. I had to tell you, there's not a lot of New Jersey contingent here. They were a relatively hated team, if I recall. They certainly weren't beloved. I know they weren't beloved in Boston. Definitely not Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. So both Keystone State teams in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania did not like New Jersey under any circumstances. .455 to go in the second period. Colorado leading New Jersey 3-1. Funny story about Joe Sakic. I don't know if you know this or not. One of the financiers of the movie Air Force One with Harrison Ford was, Air Force One was a movie in 1997, and one of the people that financed the picture was one of the owners of the Colorado Avalanche. Now, if that movie did well, that means the owner of the Avalanche would turn a profit. Oh, it was one of the biggest movies of 1997. And it looked like Joe Sakic, who was a free agent after the 96-97 season, was going to go to the New York Rangers. So it was going to be Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, and Joe Sakic. And who knows what could have happened if those three guys were playing together in the 97-98 season. Because Messier ended up becoming, well, let me go back. The movie becomes a hit. The owner of the Avalanche turns a profit, as because of that money, he gets to re-sign Joe Sakic for Colorado. Because of that, Gretzky still stays in New York, finishes his career out, whereas Mark Messier leaves as a free agent and goes to the Vancouver Canucks, who are hosting the 1998 NHL All-Star Game, by the way, with a new logo, the whale breaking free of the ice, which a lot of people, I know a couple of people who hate that logo. They hate that logo. 19 saves for Waugh so far. 6 saves since the Peter Sikora power play goal. The puck stops here. There you go. That one moment with Air Force One doing so well at the box office puts a chain reaction to the New York Rangers and essentially ruins their fortunes. Because the New York Rangers in the 96-97 season, if I remember correctly, were in the mix of the Stanley Cup Finals. I know they didn't go. Philadelphia went. But I think Philadelphia took on New York. Yeah, 4-1. Philadelphia beat New Jersey. New York, excuse me. Philadelphia 3, New York 1 in Game 1. New York 2 in Game 2. New York 5, Philadelphia 4. But then after that, Games 3, 4, and 5 won by Philadelphia 6-3, 3-2, and 4-2. Eric Lindros, 26 playoff points, took control after a Game 2 loss. Lindros famously recorded a hat trick in Game 3 and scored the game-winning goal with just 7 seconds remaining in Game 4. Gretzky never went back to the playoffs ever again after that, by the way. So the chain reaction of that one moment of Air Force One doing so well at the box office that it ends up costing the New York Rangers not only keeping Mark Messier, which is what Gretzky wanted, because that's what he had in Edmonton. It has the chain reaction of the Rangers not really being good anymore, with Gretzky playing the last couple of years of his career in New York, closing it out with the Broadway Blue Shirts, and Messier going to Vancouver, and Sakic becoming an all-timer in Colorado. So you mean to tell me if he doesn't invest in Air Force One or at tanks, Sakic is a New York Ranger? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. 2:30 to go in the second period. It's Colorado 3, New Jersey 1. Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Here on the Playback, I'm Jay Dawg. Playbackers unite with 2:16 to go in the second period. The Colorado Avalanche trying to win their second Stanley Cup. Their first one being in 1996. A 4-0 sweep over the Florida Panthers. That's back when the Four Letter Network and Fox were sharing coverage of the Stanley Cup Finals. And the New Jersey Devils trying to win their third Stanley Cup championship. They won their first one in 1995 over the Detroit Red Wings. And then their second one in 2000 over the defending champ at the time, Dallas Stars. Two minutes left to go. Whoa. In the second period, not the third, second. Still have a whole other period of hockey to play here. And as you know, anything can happen. I'm writing that down too. I'm not writing anything as possible. I'm not doing that. I'm not Kevin Garnett. Anything is possible! 1:25 to go in the second period. No, New Jersey, they're trying. They're trying to get through Waugh. They're trying. Not successful on that one. 1 minute to go in the second period. Colorado 3, New Jersey 1. Game 7, 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Here on the Playback, I am Jay Dawg. And it's the first Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final or Finals that we've had here on the history of the Playback, and only the third hockey game we've had here on the Playback. Miracle on Ice, back on Christmas of last year of 2025. That was the first hockey game we ever had. And then we had Game 6 in late May, Memorial Day, preferably when it launched. Game 6 of the 1991 Stanley Cup Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Minnesota North Stars. Now we have a Game 7, our first ever Game 7. Won't be our last Game 7 here on the Playback. Whether that be the NBA or the Stanley Cup Finals or Stanley Cup Final. .44 seconds to go in the second period. New Jersey's got to try to get something going here. Some sort of a momentum shift. Because you don't want to get to the third period where the momentum is clearly not on your side. Not saying you're out of it. It just makes it that much more difficult. Game 7 finals history up until this point in 2001. Team leading after second period has won 6 of the 7 games. The only comeback at that point, Toronto defeated Detroit in the 1942 Stanley Cup Finals. So history is not on New Jersey's side. But they're only down 2 goals. They're not down like 8. It's not like it was when Pittsburgh was crushing, and I mean crushing, the Minnesota North Stars in Game 6 of the 1991 Stanley Cup Finals. Catch that on the Playback. Download that on the Pulse Podcast Network. Just go to thepulseofnh.com. Click where it says the Pulse Podcast Network, and that's where you get all your podcasts. You get the Playback under the Bet This umbrella. New Jersey Devils, 6 come from behind wins, most of the NHL. 2 in the series versus Colorado. So they're not out of it. Not by a long shot. .30 seconds. Can New Jersey get something going here and only trail by a goal, but they're trailing by 2. They got to try to get something going here. Or as I said, just keep peppering that puck past Waugh or at Waugh and see if anything will get through. Second period in the books. It is the Colorado Avalanche 3 and the New Jersey Devils 1 after 2 periods of play in Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. The Avs trying to win their first cup in 5 years, whereas the Devs trying to win their repeat as cup champions, something they've never done before. Marty Brodeur, Bobby Holik getting back to the locker room, trailing by 2 in the Mile High City.
You're listening to The Playback on the Pulse Podcast Network.
A special thanks to Jeff Ponder for this YouTube video between the Colorado Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils, Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals, my 44 Downing Street era, if you will. Watching this as an 18-year-old kid, and I had just started in radio months before that. In fact, it was January of 2001, late January of 2001, back when the Super Bowl was being played in late January of 2001. Ravens, Giants. Ugh. That being said, I may do that at some point on the Playback for big game classics, like in 2031. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, it's the Avs 3 and the Devils 1. They're showing a vignette of Joe Sakic as a member of the Quebec Nordiques before they became the Colorado Avalanche. What a great return on investment that was, huh? Not like the Arizona Coyotes, who were at one time the Winnipeg Jets, then became the Phoenix Coyotes, and then became the Arizona Coyotes. And then, well, long story short, how about those Utah Mammoth? The Utah Mammoth, huh? Yep. Even the trainer for the New Jersey Devils has a Stanley Cup Finals patch on his clothing. How great is that? There's the Beezer, John Van Beesbrock. Is he waiting in the wings because Brodeur got his bell rung? Did Sakic collide into? Let's see. Let's see what happened here. Nothing happened. Okay. Or maybe did a wrong split. Although if you're a goalie, you better know the splits, man. I'll tell you that much. More Stanley Cup final and let's see. This is actually the last one of the finals. Everything else I think will be final. Because this is pre-2006. So. I know June 15th we'll have, or rather June 14th we'll have Game 6 of the 2016 Stanley Cup Final between the Pittsburgh Penguins at the San Jose Sharks. We'll have that for you on the playback. Also, with 19 minutes to go in the game in Colorado up 3-1 in Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Devs, Avs. Avs lead Devs 3-1 with 18:50 to go in the third period. That would be regulation. Assuming, of course, Colorado ties it. What a save by Waugh right there. Butterfly. Also have, for the Stanley Cup Final, we'll have on June 15th, the Boston Bruins at the Vancouver Canucks in Game 7 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final, a decade later from this. On June 21st, we'll have Game 7 of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final between the Edmonton Oilers at the Carolina Hurricanes. That's what we got for pucks coming up. Brode's a better goalie on the road than he is at home, looking at that statistic. So why is he down 3-1? Bob Hartley, the Colorado Avalanche coach. There I see Brian Trottier on the bench with him. Yep. Weird seeing Trottier in a three-piece suit. I usually see him, on the ice, with a sweater on. I don't mean, one of those sweaters you wear by the fire, a hockey sweater. They don't call them jerseys, they call them sweaters. They're snug as a sweater. They can be. Why not? I have hockey sweaters of my own that I've custom. And we talked about this with the Cleveland Barons, my own custom. Because nobody ever wore the last name Arsenault in Cleveland or the number 44 for the 2 years of existence the Cleveland Barons were around. They're doing a Stanley Cup flashback for 1994, which I think we're going to do in 2029 to celebrate 35 years of the Rangers and the Canucks. Game 7 of the 1994 Stanley Cup Finals. Stanley Cup Finals fact, third time in the last 30 years, Stanley Cup Finals have been decided in Game 7. This was back in 2001, of course. 17:30 to go, and the Colorado Avalanche lead 3-1 in Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals against the New Jersey Devils. Now, Ray Bourque, who's been playing in the NHL for about 22 years at this point, 22 years, well over 1,800 games without winning a Stanley Cup. So he's trying to get to not breaking that streak, by the way, whereas the Devils are trying to extend that streak, and the Devils are the defending champs going into this game. So, in addition to the Stanley Cup Final, we will have the NBA Finals. As you know, we had the Game 6 of the 1986 NBA Finals previously between the Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics. Moving forward, we're going to have Game 5 of the 1991 NBA Finals. I got distracted because the people that have the Stanley Cup on ice in the trophy case in that big blue box are bringing it out. They're showing the camera shot of that. And then they have a shot of Ray Bourque. Go figure. Anyway, we're going to have on June 12th the Game 5 of the 1991 NBA Finals, the Chicago Bulls at the LA Lakers. June 16th, we're going to have Game 6 of the 1996 NBA Finals between the Seattle Supersonics at the Chicago Bulls. Juneteenth, we're going to have Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals between the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Golden State Warriors, Cavs Dubs. And on June 22nd, we will have Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals that was played last year. Didn't want to wait till 2030 to do it. The Indiana Pacers at the Oklahoma City Thunder, last year's NBA Finals, which is not this year's NBA Finals. That would, of course, be the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs at a rematch of the 1999 NBA Finals. Now they're showing a promo for Voyage to Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Voyage to Atlantis, The Lost Empire, a special on ABC. Raise the Cup with Ray, like Ray Bourque, R-A-Y in the letter S. So you have the commentators, Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, and then in the side, or side ice? Is that what they call that? No? Ice side, or reporters being Brian Engblom and Darren Pang, the Panger. And host set, you had Al Michaels and John Davidson. So legends all around. "16 minutes to go in the third period, and the Colorado Avalanche making sure it's only a 2-goal lead so far, 3-1 over the New Jersey Devils in the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. This is Game 7. This is the Playback. I am Jay Dawg, the Pulse Podcast Network, where you get all your podcasts on the Pulse Podcast Network. You go to thepulseofnh.com, you click where it says the Pulse Podcast Network, and the Playback is under the Bet This umbrella. Shots on goal so far for the Devs, 22, for the Avs, 19. And every single week we have Bet This with CJ and yours truly, sports betting. And we give you our parlays and locks of the week. And we also do our top 10 rankings for the week. There's a delayed penalty coming. Here we go. Who's it going to be on? It's going to be Rob Blake. It looks like it's going to be Rob Blake. He does not look happy. Bob Hartley does not look happy. It's going to be Rob Blake going to the sin bin for the Avs. Two minutes. He's going in for interference at 4 minutes, 59 seconds of the third period. New Jersey on the power play, 2 minutes. Greg DeVry, I think he is a Mass native, his boyhood idols, Larry Bird and Rick Middleton. So a Celtic and a Bruin. Power plays, 1 for 1, the Devs so far. The Avs 1 for 3. In the series, 3 for 25 for the Avs, 6 for 34. That's been pretty chippy in this Stanley Cup Finals if you're getting that much. Bobby Holik taking the face-off. See if New Jersey can cut it to 1. Looks like there's a shift change coming for Colorado. That's in the netting. Although, did they have netting back then? It doesn't look like they did. Or I think they had additional netting after that tragedy back in 2000. I want to say 3. I don't want to get into it, so. Holik on the face-off again. Minute 30 to go on the power play. 14:30 to go in the third period with Colorado leading New Jersey 3-1. "14 minutes to go with 1 minute to go on the power play. New Jersey's got to find a way to just get that puck through Waugh. So. From the moment the Avalanche came into the NHL, they were embraced by the Colorado crowd. I think the fear was that they would not, it would fail like it did for the Colorado Rockies hockey team when they moved from Kansas City, when they were the Kansas City Scouts and became the Rockies for a few years. I think that was the fear, is that it was only going to, it would last 5 or 6 years. So the Avalanche have been around now for over 30 years, so. Hockey in Colorado, and especially in Denver, is not, because they play in Denver, of course, is not, there's no issue of them relocating anytime soon, if at all. 13 minutes to go, full strength. New Jersey had no shots on that power play, by the way. So give Colorado credit for smothering the Devs on that penalty kill. $12:30 to go in the third period. So the Devs are either going to try to tack on more or to try to tie it up, or the Avs are going to try to keep it tight or try to add on more. Because I think if Colorado scores again, it's over. And I think if New Jersey scores again, then they're right. Not only are they right back in, I think they've got an excellent chance to get it, to tie it up, because again, they're only down 3-1, though, and they've got plenty of time. There's 12 minutes to go in the third period. However, that's not a good omen if Colorado is making sure there's not one shot on goal during power plays. They're shrinking the rink, essentially, to ensure that the likes of Elias and Holik and Stevens and Gomez don't score. And Mogilny. Bourque back on the ice. Now Sakic's got the puck. .10:40 to go in the third period. Icing. So Pat Waugh, 2 career Conn Smythe trophies, which is, of course, playoff MVP, 86 and 93, both with the Montreal Canadiens. 2-time Conn Smythe Award winners in the playoffs, okay? You've got Bobby Orr, right? He won 3. Bernie Parent, the late great, won 74 and 75, the only time the Flyers have ever won Stanley Cups. Wayne Gretzky, 4 times with Edmonton. Mario Lemieux did it twice, 91 and 92. And Waugh in 86 and 93 for the Montreal Canadiens. So they did it for all 4 different teams. Orr for the Bruins, Parent for the Flyers, Gretzky for the Oilers, Lemieux for the Pens, and Waugh for the Habs. Good mix of... That's a good mix right there. I like that. I actually like that. I'm okay with that. And there's the Conn Smythe trophy that they're getting out of the blue box. And they're putting it on the... Just win one for Ray. It has R and then the Colorado Avalanche logo, the A, with the puck flying or sliding off the snow. It's a great logo. It really is. Whoever came up with it, absolute genius. I remember it was supposed to be in green originally, but they decided, no, let's make it non-green. Let's have the A be red. They wanted to make it as not Colorado Rockies as possible because you had the Major League Baseball team, the Colorado Rockies. So they didn't want to have 2 Colorado Rockies like they did in the 70s into the 80s for the NHL team. And they didn't want to redesign, although now they've started to do that with the current Colorado Avalanche. They've peppered in some 70s, early 80s Colorado Rockies NHL. So. 10 minutes to go in the game. See, now it starts to be single digits. Then you start to press a little bit. Just a little. Joe Sakic looking on from the bench. In a short amount of time, the Colorado Avalanche have brought in a lot of banners to the Pepsi Center. Is it the house that Sakic built? The house that Waugh built? It certainly wasn't the house that Antonio McDyess built. And the Avalanche really haven't had a lot of lean years either. I mean, they've had a couple of bad years in the 2010s. they needed that because that way there they could get the Nate McKinnons. They could get the... Oh, hold on. Power play. Colorado's going on it. Let's see who the guilty party is for the Devs. Let's see it. Let's see who's in the sin bin for the Devs. Here we go. They just go to the power play. Okay. All right. There's Larry Robinson, who's never lost a Game 7. He's trying to make it 3-0, not 2-1. Nine minutes to go in the game. And Colorado's on the power play with 1:30. Colin White of the New Jersey Devils, high sticking. That's what the penalty was. Okay. Got it. Oh, nice save by Waugh. Oh. Peter Sikora almost put it in again. So. I do miss the Bigfoot feet on the Colorado Avalanche side of their uniforms. I miss those. They have since replaced those. So, with a C, you know, the way the state of Colorado has their C for their flag, for their state flag, with a puck essentially. I think that's the idea. It's a puck. .25 seconds on the power play, 7:50 to go in the game. Colorado trying to... Oh, looks like we're going to have we're going to have a penalty on Colorado, on Adam Foote, it looks like. Holding the stick, so we got 4-on-4 action now. Okay. Adam Foote holding the stick at 12:11. 2 minutes. The Fan, AM 950 in Denver. Okay. That was one of the advertisements on there. With 7:44 to go in the game, it's 4-on-4 now. Foote in the sin bin for Colorado, Colin White for the Devs. White was high sticking, whereas Foote was holding the stick. New Jersey on the power play now. 1:30 to go. 7:15 to go in the third period. Time running out for the Devs, who trailed by 2. Avs are hoping it's a good St. Patty's Day for Wah and the Avs. 6:40 to go in the game, 50 seconds on the power play for New Jersey. Oh, Colorado almost scored right there. Shorthanded. "15 seconds on the power play with 6 minutes to go." Power play has expired. Now both teams at full strength with 5:44 to go in the third period. New Jersey had no shots on the power play. Colorado had more shots shorthanded than the New Jersey Devils, who were on the power play, who had an extra skater, and they still... If not now, when, right? Well, a delayed penalty on New Jersey. It's going to be on Scott Stevens. See what it is. Scotty Stevens goes to the sin bin with 5:14 to go in the game. Waz kid can't bear to look. He's putting his face in the sweater. Okay, Scotty Stevens in the sin bin. It is 2 minutes for tripping at 14:42 in the third period. Colorado on the power play. Minute 50 on theirs with 5 minutes to go in the game. Each second ticks away, and the New Jersey Devils find themselves in dire straits. They're the defending champs. They're just trying to get a goal, much less try to tie it up. .430 to go in the third period with about a minute 15 on the power play. They have unveiled the Stanley Cup in the dressing room with the Hockey Hall of Fame crew with the white gloves on. Bourque can almost taste the drink of the cup. There's the Bourque family in the stands. Guy dressed up as a fat lady saying, "I'm getting ready." I remember the ratings around the Boston area were big for obvious reasons, of course. A lot bigger here than they were for the NBA Finals in 2001 between the Lakers and the Sixers. Oh, woof. The second to last NBA on NBC NBA Finals, by the way. There was never a time that those Lakers teams from 2000 to 2002 were ever really in grave danger of losing. So I think they beat the Pacers in 6, right? They beat the Sixers in 5, and I think they swept the New Jersey Nets in 2002. 3:33 to go with 10 seconds on the power play for Colorado. Looks like New Jersey's going to kill the penalty. They will. Both teams at full strength now with 3:16 to go in the game. 3:13 now to go in the game. Colorado had one shot on that power play. 2001 Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, New Jersey Devils, Colorado Avalanche, the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado, with 3 minutes to go in the third period. The Avs lead the Devs 3-1. Ray Bourque, Raymond can almost touch it. He can almost taste it. He can almost feel it. He'll be a Stanley Cup champion if the Colorado Avalanche can hold on with 2:44 to go in the game. Icing, are they going to wave it off? Nope, icing. Okay, they didn't wave it off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. 2:35 to go. Joe Sakic, of course, a goal and assist, leads NHL with 26 playoff points. Brodeur, 3 goals allowed on 22 shots. Waugh, Colorado, 1 goal allowed on 25 shots. They're showing the highlight of Bourque in Game 3 scoring the game-winning goal in New Jersey. So. Hooray for Ray. And the O is a Boston Bruins with the bespoke ABC at last Bourque's Cup. Avs number 1, 16W. Some of these signs are really creative, I got to say. For 2001, these are really creative signs. They're entertaining me, at least. Hope they're entertaining you. .216 to go in the third period. It is Colorado 3, New Jersey 1. Ray Bourque back out on the ice. (1,826) career games without winning a Stanley Cup. That's the most in the history of the NHL at this point, at this stage. .216 away until mission accomplished for Ray. Boy, the fortune of, by the way, introducing to the ice during an exhibition game that the University of New Hampshire, UNH hockey, had. I was PA announcing, I think it was UNH Xavier, not Xavier, was it St. Francis Xavier? There was a Canadian, I think it was a Canadian college that was coming in for an exhibition game at the Whittemore Center back in 2015, I want to say. Empty net for New Jersey, so Colorado's got a chance here to try to tack on another goal for what I like to call insurance purposes and put this one on ice for good. The 1996 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche trying to add on another, whereas the 1995 and 2000 Stanley Cup champs New Jersey Devils trying to tie it up so they can try to add on another. So the Devils are just going to try their darndest to try to make sure that the empty net stays empty without a goal being scored, whereas the Avs are just trying to force it in. But it's right now in Colorado's end right now. So. Minute 30 to go. Ray Bourque is 90 seconds away from being a Stanley Cup champion. and put the cap on his 22-year impressive Hall of Fame living legend career. Just think, he wanted to go to Philadelphia and end it. And Harry Sinden said, no, go west, old man. Okay. They're on their feet in Denver, not an empty seat in the house. Ray Bourque's family waiting. And Bourque is on the ice, so watching, waiting, commiserating. It's still in Colorado's end, so give New Jersey credit for making sure, trying to make sure, the attempt to make sure that the Colorado Avalanche don't score on the other side, as Broads, of course, is on the left. He's not now. On the left side is New Jersey's end. On the right side is Colorado's end if you're going left-right. Dial. 1 minute to go before Ray Bourque becomes a champion and the Colorado Avalanche win their second Stanley Cup championship. "30 seconds until 1,826 games are vanquished, and you never have to hear Ray Bourque is not a champion. The most games ever at that time by not winning a Stanley Cup champion. Ray Bourque, number 77. Here's Pete Forsberg wearing his sweater. Not active, though. So Skula and Clem giving Bourque a hug, getting ready to celebrate a championship. New Jersey Devils, they are up 3-2 in this series, and they couldn't put it away. They were the defending champs, too. The Denver Post has a mission accomplished headline on the front page. Yes, back when newspapers were prevalent, boys and girls. Bourque is out on the ice, 30 seconds away. Colorado leading 3-1 with the series tied at 3 in Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Here on the Playback. Is it going to go in? It's going to miss with about 13 and a half seconds to go in the game. Joe Sakic is out, the captain. Rather, Bourque is an assistant captain, by the way. So they're polishing off the Stanley Cup with the white gloves and the white cloth. They are seconds away from putting it officially out of the dressing room and hauling it onto the ice. Rob Blake is going to be a Stanley Cup champion. Pat Waugh is going to win his 4th Stanley Cup. One of the all-time greats. Joe Sakic is going to win his 2nd Stanley Cup. Ten seconds. 5 seconds. Raymond gets his ring. The Colorado Avalanche have won the 2001 Stanley Cup. They are all mobbing Ray Bourque right now and Pat Waugh. Unbelievable. What a scene, huh? 2001 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. The Avs win the Stanley Cup 4-3 by defeating the New Jersey Devils, who were the champs at the time going in, by a score of 3-1. Oh, absolutely mobbing Ray Bourque right now with hugs. You did it. Congrats. The ring is yours. The cup is yours. Because now the kids are going to be coming onto the ice. You know, the kids of the players, you know, their families, they bring them on out there. Waugh and Bourque, two fellow Frenchies hugging it out. Love it. Love it. Ray Bourque's family coming on out to the ice, so... Yes, I did that Blink 182 reference because the Colorado Avalanche used All the Small Things as their 2022 Stanley Cup anthem. Turn the lights out, carry me home. So. Got to do the handshakes first because now the Devils are out on the ice waiting. So. Waugh and Brodeur, two fellow Frenchies, giving a handshake. Stevens and Bourque, they certainly had their issues back in the Boston, New Jersey days. Pete Forsberg, Jay Pandolfo, and Scott Gomez. Pat Eliash, two Pats, Eliash and Waugh, handshakes. Some of these players, of course, became teammates for Canada and the USA. So there could have been too much bad blood. I mean, you're competitive, and it's the way it should be. But Eliash and Bourque, handshakes there, good. Rob Blake is a Stanley Cup champion, 2 goals, 3 assists in the series versus the New Jersey Devils, talking to Brian Engblom. Of course, Rob Blake was one of the players of the LA Kings who lost to Pat Waugh and the Montreal Canadiens, the last team at press time in 2026, the last Canadian team to hoist the Stanley Cup. And they became teammates in Colorado. So now NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman telling Joe Sakic, the captain, because that's how the tradition is, you have the Stanley Cup right next to the commissioner who congratulates the base, whether they be home or road. They're home this time, of course. And the captain comes out with the cup, right, lifts it from the table, and then hands it off. So Sakic is about ready to get up there. He's the captain. Gary Bettman, the only NHL commissioner that's ever happened in the entire sport of the NHL. Before then, they were presidents. Sakic gets it, takes a picture with the commissioner, and then hands it off to Ray Bourque. There it is. Oh, I remember watching this. I was like, that is so awesome. All those years of heartache and heartbreak, and you finally get to hoist the cup and kiss it. There it is. Ray Bourque, Stanley Cup champ. Love it. Oh, I remember this so fondly. Again, an 18-year-old kid on the 44 Downing Street era watching this. And the family, and he gets to skate around with it, hoisting it, lifting it, kissing it. 1,826 games without winning a Stanley Cup. Comes to a close. The monkey is off his back. Now it goes to Sakic, who kisses it, and he's going to skate around with it, and he's going to pass it around. Nobody's left this arena. Nobody. Rob Blake who gets to experience being a Stanley Cup champion, hoists it in the air, gives it a kiss. Passes it off to Pete Forsberg, who was injured and did not play in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2001. He's now a two-time champion. One of the all-time great Colorado Avalanche, who passes it off to who else? Pat Waugh, four-time Stanley Cup champion, twice with the Montreal Canadiens and twice with the Colorado Avalanche. Milan Hajduk, who was big in this game, he now is a Stanley Cup champion. And Brian Engblom now talking to Ray Bourque, first Stanley Cup in his 22nd and final NHL season. That is how you go out a winner. That is how it's done. Not even Jordan did that. We thought he did, but he didn't. How sweet is that, huh? What a great moment. How do you top that? I don't think you do top that. You don't top that. That's what happens. You don't top that. And now you have Joe Sakic, 4 goals, 5 assists in the 2001 finals, had a goal and assist in this game. You have Darren Pang talking to Sakic. And the MVP, the Conn Smythe, in the 2001 Stanley Cup playoffs was Pat Waugh. Absolute legend. Ray Bourque gets his ring. The Colorado Avalanche win the Stanley Cup again for the second time in their franchise history. And this is our first Game 7 for the Stanley Cup final or finals, this time finals, that we've had on the playback. Won't be the last. Team photo and the Avs, who defeated the New Jersey Devils 4-3 by a score of 3-1 in Game 7, win the 2001 Stanley Cup. And as I mentioned before, we're going to have more Stanley Cup final matchups for you, including on June 14th, Game 6 of the 2016 Stanley Cup Final between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the San Jose Sharks. June 15th, we'll have Game 7 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final. The Boston Bruins at the Vancouver Canucks. And on June 21st, we'll have Game 7 of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final between the Edmonton Oilers and the Carolina Hurricanes. That's all for hockey for this edition of the Playback. As I mentioned, plenty more here in the month of June on the Pulse Podcast Network. We still have NBA Finals. We've had NBA Finals yesterday or the day before, previously, between the Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics in Game 6 of the 1986 NBA Finals. And we're going to have plenty more. A milestone game for baseball later on this month, as well as Jay Dawg's wrestling match of the month before that, of course. No, we're going to have Jay Dawg's boxing bout of the month and Jay Dawg's wrestling match of the month. We're going to have the wrestling match of the month before we have the boxing bout of the month, though. But plenty more on the Playback here on the Pulse Podcast Network. Oh, puck, yeah.
You've been listening to The Playback on the Pulse Podcast Network.